Hello! Please ignore the state of my bookshelves. I'm currently in the process of moving to a new house. I am filming a vlog, so stay tuned for that, I guess. So please ignore them. They look a mess, I know. Kind of aesthetic at the same time, but a mess. Anyways, it's time for my January wrap-up in a new house. Weird. So, in January, I read 11 books, which I kind of went a little bit X Games mode in January. I don't know what happened, but better for my reading goal. Let's just get the stats out of the way so we can talk about the 11 books, which is going to take a while. So, in terms of genre, I read 6 fantasy books. As usual, it's my most read genre every single month, mostly. If you hear my dogs moving, I'm really sorry. My dogs are hanging out with me. I'll show you. Hi! Moving on. Then I read 2 contemporary books and 3 romance books, even though some books I've put in a genre that I think they are, but they also are several others, so I'm not sure. And then in terms of star rating, I read a lot of different star ratings. I read 1 5-star, 1 4.5 star, 2 4 stars, 2 3 stars, 1 2.5 star, 3 2 stars, and 1 1 star. It was very varied. Very varied? That's a weird combo. Anyways. And in total, I read 3,418 pages, which is a lot. Let's get into the books. So, the first book that I read in 2022 and January, obviously, was The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg, I think. I buddy read this with my friend Georgia. This follows sort of Disney, let's say. It's called The Kingdom, and there are 7 princesses that are robots, I guess. They're called fantasists, and we follow one of the princesses called Anna or Anna, I don't know. There's one N. I say Anna, but I don't know. We follow Anna, which is one of the main princesses in The Kingdom, but when there's a new guy at the park called Owen, Anna starts feeling feelings which she's not supposed to be feeling. That was a very weird sentence. We follow her in the past and in the current day, where she is being accused of murdering Owen, and it's her trial, basically. If you've read Illuminae, where there are like pages of transcripts and files, this has some of that. Where we follow her in the past of what actually happened, it's just text, but then there are also interviews with her and detectives, I guess. It's really interesting, the layout. I ended up giving this a 2-star. 2-star for me is kind of a bad book. Not necessarily bad, I don't like it. It's not terrible, I just don't like it, if that makes sense. The only things I liked about this book were the layout of the book. It was a super fast read because of it, and I loved the interviews and stuff like that. I liked the idea of the story, like what it could have been, I guess, but what it is, I don't like. It was very predictable. I didn't like the romance between Anna and Owen. My voice is cracking. I hated the ending, which is one of the things that I need to be good in a book. It was anticlimactic, I guess, and I didn't like it. No. And it left me with a lot of questions. Just be aware of this book if you're gonna read it. There are trigger warnings for sexual assault implied, not actual explicit scenes, animal abuse, and suicide. So, yeah. Keep that in mind when you read this. The next book that I finished in January, because I started it in December but didn't end up finishing it, was this big boy, Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. The final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy. I never know how to say that word. I'm not gonna lie, the whole series, these 3 books, was okay. It wasn't the best. I think I've grown out of my Cassandra Clare love, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't love this. I give it a 4-star, mostly because of nostalgia, I'm not gonna lie. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite, if that makes sense. And then the third book that I read in January, I count it as a book, is a short story in the back of this that's called A Love That Never Tires which is a bonus story about Clary and Jace, which 5 stars. Yeah, it's 11 pages long, huge book, but I loved it. It might be because I have such a love, or had when I read them a million years ago. I have such a love for Clary and Jace and their story that I just loved this short story. It was beautiful. The next book that I read was an arc from NetGalley called My Idol Sits in the Next Desk Over, something like that. I don't even know the whole thing. I just memorized it as My Idol. I don't know. I don't know how to say the name of the person that wrote it. It's like Tetsu something. I just don't even want to try. But this is about a girl who has an obsession with this idol or famous person, and that girl ends up sitting next to her in her classroom, and so they end up becoming friends because she says that she has a huge obsession with that girl and the girl is very flattered. We also have a third character that is also obsessed with that idol, but she doesn't want the idol to know, so she fakes that she doesn't know who she is, but behind the scenes is very stalkery. I gave this a 3. It was okay. It was fine, I guess. It's the first volume of a manga. They usually are weird, I guess. I like where their friendship is going, but in this book it was okay. Hopefully it gets better and less stalkery, you know? But yeah, there's not much you can say about this other than that, I guess, because it's a short manga. The next book that I read is another arc from NetGalley called The Rebound. I think the author is called Catherine something. Catherine Walsh? Am I on crack? I don't know. But it is a story about a girl who is Irish who's moved to the US, and her fiance breaks up with her, so she moves back to Ireland. She encounters her neighbor slash friend from childhood that has suddenly become very attractive as an adult. Love that. So I gave this a 4 star. I really loved this book. It was a perfect palate cleanser between books. You know what I mean, I think. It was super fun. I loved the romance. The characters were okay, I guess. They could have been a little bit more developed, in my opinion. I also really liked that this book mentioned Portugal a lot. The main character's parents live here. And also they mentioned the little jellyfish that sting you. You know? The dangerous ones. Ours. And the other thing that I really liked about this book was the sisters' relationship. Really cute. I loved the 2 sisters together. The next book that I read was The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. Yes. We follow 2 best friends, Jack and something. August, right. Jack and August have a weird friendship. August is sort of the weird kid. He deals drugs, and Jack is the jock, hot guy, I guess. I don't know. Basically, we follow Jack seeing things from another world, and August decides to help him find some way to get rid of the visions of different things that aren't real. Going into this, I thought I was gonna love this because my friend read this and he really liked it, and he thought I would. Clearly, you don't know me that well. I'm really sad that I don't like it because everyone I watch on BookTube loved it, aka Books and Lava. I didn't like this. I gave this a 2.5. Throughout the book, I was just confused. That's probably the point, but I don't like being confused. Even after I finish this, I'm still confused by what I read. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I'm dumb. Also, the ending was not it for me. I didn't like it. It wasn't what I was expecting. Other than that, I really liked the weird pages in this book, even though I don't get why they're like that. I don't know. I didn't really care for the characters or their weird relationship. There are very important topics in this, so there's that, mental illness, neglect, eating disorders, stuff like that. Trigger warnings if you don't want to read that. The one thing that I liked in this book was the author's note, which I never read, but I did this time because it was just there before the acknowledgements. And it actually, I really liked it. So if you're gonna read this, read the author's note at the end because That was great. The next book that I read in January was another buddy read with Georgia again, which is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer, which is the last book of the Cursebreakers trilogy. Which the first two I really liked. I gave the first one a 4, I think, and the second one a 4.5. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This one, however, I gave a 2-star. I'm sad. I did not like this book. The only good part about all these books is Gray, which is one of the characters. He's still my favorite. I still love him. In this book, love him. This book was super predictable to a point where I just hate it. The ending was super rushed and I hated everything about it, mostly. This book has the beautiful, amazing trope that I love, which is pregnancy. Hated it, don't like it, and I predicted it. At this point, I also didn't care about the characters. I think I went too long in between reading the second one and this one, but anyways, I just didn't care about any of them. And the ones that I did care about were not even like mentioned, apart from Gray. Gray I love, but like Tycho and Jake, they were barely in this book. I don't know. All of the main 4 characters I kind of disliked, except for Gray, obviously. Once again, I love him. Harper and Wren's romance, I don't like it anymore. I think in book 2 it just died for me. Wren I dislike because of things that happened in book 2. I don't know, I'm never gonna forget that. And then with Gray and Leah Mara, I don't like Leah Mara. I don't know how to say her name. I don't like her. She's kind of annoying. And I've said this since book 1. I don't know if I said this in a video, but at least to my friend, Georgia, I have. I ship Harper and Gray. I feel like I was robbed of a really good romance between them. They had a weird tension going on in book 1. I don't know. I was robbed. We were robbed. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm sad that I hated this. It can die now. The next book that I read was Where I End and You Begin by Preston Norton. We follow 2 characters, Winona and Ezra. Forgot his name. And they respectively have crushes on each other's best friends. So Winona has a crush on Ezra's best friend, and Ezra has a crush on Winona's best friend. So one day when there's a lunar eclipse, they switch bodies somehow. Don't know why. They don't explain it. Anyways, they switch bodies and they kind of, since then, start switching back and forth without warning. Because they switch bodies, they make a deal where they are gonna help each other get with the respective crushes. I gave this a 3. So it's not good, it's not bad, it's kind of in the middle for me. 3 is kind of, 2.5 is in the middle, but 3 is like, it's okay, you know? I liked the characters. Ezra is kind of a fun character to read about, like his brain, I guess. Winona was one of the best characters, if not the best. I wish we had her POV in this, because she was really entertaining in the beginning and also throughout, but in the beginning she had like really cool comebacks that I love. I really liked their friendship, Winona and Ezra, because I don't know, they had really good chemistry. That's why I thought it was gonna be a romance, but it's not. Ezra's crush was bland, didn't like her, and Winona's crush was funny, I guess, but like, I don't know. I think I have a bias. Winona and her crush had really good banter in the beginning. I wish it had like continued a little bit more, but they like switched bodies, so I don't know. That said, clearly I did not like the romances. I would have much preferred if the 2 main characters had ended up with each other, but like, it's fine, whatever. The bad parts about this is that it was super predictable, but I guess I'm just a genius with everything. Also, there's an absurd amount of references in this. If you're like me and hate references being referenced for no reason, this is not the book for you. It's gonna infuriate you like it did to me, because there are at least 100 in this whole book. I also hated the ending. Once again, endings are just not for me. But yeah, apart from that, this has really good like discussions of sexuality and gender, which I liked, but like, it's an okay book overall. Okay, next I read a book called Flames of Lethe. I don't know how to say it. This is an arc from NetGalley that I just picked up randomly. It was a read now, which says a lot. I just read it for like fun because I saw it and I read erotica and I was like, let's just do something left field. That maybe wasn't the choice because I ended up disliking this book, but whatever. This book is a fantasy book, I guess, about two characters that wake up naked in the middle of a desert, which is supposed to be hell. And every morning they get burnt to death. And at night they regenerate and they're alive again. I think the main character is called Jess and the guy is Christopher. They wake up together naked. They don't know each other. They just remember each other's names and their own, obviously. And so they try and find civilization, which they end up doing. And they get into this weird civilization that I hated, where they live in hell. Yeah. This was not the book for me. It was kind of hilarious after the fact, but like, I hated it. I gave it a 2 stars though. Don't know what that says about me, but trigger warnings before I start talking about this, for explicit rape, misogyny, and like objectification of women. Don't read this. So, in the beginning, I was liking the plot of them being like stranded naked, don't know who each other, like who they are. But then they went into civilization and I hated it. So, yeah, just the first like 50 pages were great. None of the characters were good, I'm not gonna lie. The main girl was annoying and just... This book is a reverse harem. There are 2 love interests that she ends up dating both at the same time. If you don't know what a reverse harem is, that's what it is. I don't like either of them because one is... Okay, I don't want to spoil this even though I don't want anyone to read it. Basically, the first guy, Christopher, I shipped him the whole time. I was like, he's better than the other guy who's called Adam. I thought Christopher was it. And then a plot twist happens, and then Christopher was, no, problematic, leave. But Adam, the entire time, I was like, no chemistry, he's okay, he's a little bit weird, also problematic, red flag running right in front of my face. So I was like, no. But then the plot twist happens, and I'm like, still no, but you're better than whatever that was. You know? That doesn't make any sense. But I don't want to spoil it in case anyone wants to actually read this. Her name was actually Jo, not Jess. Whatever. The plot twist was an actual plot twist. I was not expecting it at all. So, great plot twist. Great. Depends. The ending was bad. I don't want to spoil it, but just bad. And there's also a trope in there that I hate, which I think I can say. It's basically the, and it was all a dream trope. Kind of. Yeah, you're warned. And since this book was marketed as erotica, the smut was okay. Which, in an erotica book, smut is very much the main thing, kind of. I don't know technically if that's true, but that's what I think. And it was okay. It was a little bit too rapey in my opinion, but whatever, we're gonna ignore that. So yeah, that is my rant. I don't know what the fuck I just read, but yeah, I read it. The next book that I read was my favorite book that I read in this month, which was chaotic, so that's not saying much. But it was the Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren is always top tier books when it comes to romance. In this book, we follow 2 characters. I forgot their names again. Jess. Why is everyone called Jess? Why do I keep fixating on Jess and this is actually Jess? Jess and River. Jess is a single mom and she wants to find somebody, but like nothing is really working. She's gone on a few dates and they were all terrible. And then we have River, which is a scientist, and he works at this company that has made an app that uses your DNA to find your biological soulmate. Obviously, the 2 main characters end up having a 98% or whatever it was match. So obviously, River and Jess, even though they hate each other, kind of, they start kind of dating. It's kind of fake dating, but they're trying to see if it actually works, the app, you know? I gave this a 4.5. It was beautiful. Love it. I loved the romance. River and Jess, beautiful. Loved the banter in between them. I really liked the characters, especially the main character's best friend. I think her name was like Fitzy. She had beautiful one-liners and great advice. And the ending was great, so beautiful book. However, there's a 0.5 missing to be a perfect book, which is the plot twist was basic. Yeah. I hated the plot twist. I've seen it done before and it was, I don't know. I was expecting it, I guess. I don't like it. Whatever. It's fine. I love this either way a lot. Highly recommend this book. And the last book that I read, because holy Jesus, is a book called The Sea Became Restless, which again is another arc. And it follows a girl called Nixie, and she lives on a boat because her dad is the leader of a cult. Yeah. It's kind of Little Mermaid-y. She really wants to go to the land, but it's forbidden for people under 18 to go on land because it's dangerous. But one day she sees a boy, obviously, who is called Carew, which cringe name, by the way. He is drowning or whatever, and she saves him and obviously starts falling in love with him. Whatever. I didn't know this was a cult book when I requested it. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I may have misread what it was about, but that's on me. I gave it a 1 star. It's not that I hated it. It wasn't the worst book. It's not for me. I didn't like anything about it. I don't have like a hatred towards it, but I just didn't like anything. The romance was meh, which is the main point of the whole thing. The writing style was not for me either, nor the plot. It took me so long to get into the book. And I almost DNF'd it, but since it's like around 300 pages, I was like, I might just get through it, which I did. I don't know why, but here we are. The characters were fine. I didn't really connect with any of them. Also, the book itself was predictable, which I hated. It was really confusing. Like, I have a million questions. What type of boat were they on? Why? What even is the cult? Why is the cult something to do with boats? There are a lot of questions. And lastly, one thing that kind of bothered me, it's not that important, but the main character is constantly tapping Morse code everywhere, and instead of writing what the Morse code means, there's Morse code. Do I look like I know Morse code? No, exactly, you'd be correct. I think there's a key in the beginning of the book, but this is an ebook. I had to go on the internet every single time to try and figure it out. It was too much. There were also some other small things that bothered me, like trigger warning, domestic abuse. I don't even get what, I don't know. I have so many questions. I don't understand it. Whatever. But these plus the 5 arcs were all the books I read in January. Why did I read so many arcs? Why did I only realize that now too? A few good books, a few terrible books. As I said in the beginning, varied. Very varied. But that is everything for today, and I'll see you in my next weird video. Bye!